So tell me, what's the biggest challenge that you face in your line of work?
I think the biggest challenge, there would be few challenges, I guess. The biggest challenge is the constant pressure.
Real estate and wealth management are hand in glove, are linked together.
Real estate is an important aspect of asset allocation, asset diversification, and in my personal humble opinion, it's a must asset to have in your portfolio.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Brick Buzz. Today we will have a continuation of the topic of wealth creation and wealth management. We started on this topic in our previous podcast, and a lot of our client base and a lot of people who see this were very intrigued and interested in this topic, and they wanted us to bring Yana once again. So, here's Miss Yana. Thank you very much for coming on this podcast once again and being a part of this. And let's start the discussion from where we left it, right?
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Always. So, the last time we just scratched the surface of wealth creation and wealth management, and you very aptly brought that point across that majority of the people are just talking about wealth wealth management, but not diving into the topic of wealth creation, because that's, I think, if not equally, in my humble opinion, it's much more important to have that wealth creation. So moving from that point, I would like to ask you a direct question. Are you an introvert or an extrovert person? And what traits you feel in that domain are important for the task that you do every day at your work?
That's a very interesting question, and I'm curious to know how is that related to the first part of the question. But
Okay, because we all have our personality types, and some things are suited. For example, if you have a responsibility as a professor or a motivational speaker, or you are mentoring a group of people, then you have to be able to communicate with them. So that aspect of your personality, if you're introvert and if you're not very expressive of your ideas, then you might not be able to communicate that effectively with a group of people. So what personality type is best suited for your line of work?
I think everybody that is in sales or communication or relationship management needs to have extrovert features, but it doesn't mean that they themselves would be extrovert or introvert. I would want to believe that I'm an extrovert per se, but the tests that you do, usually the psychological tests, show that I'm an introvert, which was a surprising thing to figure out. So extrovert is somebody that very easily connects with people and openly discusses everything related to their own feelings and emotions, let's say. Introvert is opposite of that. So I would say at work I'm an extrovert, very much, because we need to share ideas, we need to interact with people, we need to know how to connect with people, we need to know how to sell the idea, sell the product, sell yourself, everything. And being an introvert, you cannot do that. But having said that, I distinguish between work and personal related aspects. So I would say a lot of my clients and people that I work with, they hardly know much about me personally, which is an interesting thing, right?
You're very interesting. So tell me, what's the biggest challenge that you face in your line of work?
I think the biggest challenge There would be few challenges, I guess. The biggest challenge is the constant pressure that we go through in terms of managing wealth of families and high net worth individuals. That's the challenge, because when you're in charge and responsible for sometimes decisions or advices that you give or guidance that you provide, it's easier to manage your own, but it's more difficult to manage somebody else's money. So I think that's the most challenging part, that constant pressure that we have. There are other challenges as well. It depends on which aspect of the job we're talking about. I'm sure with you being in real estate, you would highlight pretty much the same.
I have my own set of challenges, my own set of. So you meet a significant amount of people who have made it good in this world, and everybody has an end goal. And when you interact with those people, when you interact with that echelon of the society, a lot of clarity is also brought back into one's own life, right? In terms of wealth creation, wealth management, how to emphasize on certain aspects of life. So now, with your expertise and your knowledge base, how have you tweaked and defined your end goal in life? End goal, what is the end game, end result? Like, for example, says people would, a lot of money would say, okay, money is important, but at the end of the day, I would like to have, I mean, this family time I sacrificed or what. Yeah, people would say, no, you have to have that much money, because we are not at that level, who have like seen it all and done it all. So those kind of people, when you interact with them, and they have 100 and super, we assume they have more clarity than us as far as the end game is concerned, and then we apply the same in our life, right? Oh, so I have now clarity on this subject, I have more clarity on that subject, and you interact with them a lot more than a normal person.
Yeah, so you mean to say this?
How has that cleared your thoughts about the end game that you would like to create? What would be your legacy?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I think the clarity that
How would you like people to remember you?
That's not humble at all.
It should not be. It should not be, because setting setting a low goal and a mediocre goal is actually, in my books, it's a crime.
It's true, but to be honest with you, I didn't think about it. Like, I didn't think about it from the legacy point of view, to be honest, yet. But it's definitely something that will make me think. It's one thing I can share, that the clarity that I've got from interacting with all these ultra high net worth families and individuals, that the ultimate goal in life is not money or wealth. It's not, and it shouldn't be. A lot of people made money, a lot of people lost money. The ultimate should be something which is not materialistic, because then the universe will make a plan for you to achieve it, even if you need material resources.
So I think that plan has to have some balance of materialism as well.
I agree with you, but then if you only focus on money and you do not know why you need that money for, basically,
how
when you
are
don't
you going
have
to put
a goal,
that money to use?
Exactly. Yeah, so I think one should have a goal, why the resources of material nature are required.
Very well said. I agree to that point. We will talk about this in a bit of detail later. Real estate and wealth management are hand in glove, are linked together. But I have come across a lot of wealth managers that have a very, very skewed ideology about the real estate side of the fence. How do you see real estate? Because some, I would not say all, but some wealth managers say, and they tell their clients, do not invest in real estate because real estate, it's a bubble, it's going to go down, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, invest your money elsewhere. How do you see the situation?
So I would address it this way. It depends on who is that wealth manager. If we talk about bankers, bankers definitely would be concerned at times of people investing in real estate because of the simple reason, because the money from the bank goes into the real estate asset and the bank goes into the negative on the balance. So it's obvious from the banker's point of view and the bank's point of view, it's beneficial where the client keeps money in the
And how is this
bank.
beneficial for the, so how is that beneficial for the client? Because a typical scenario of a bank, if I keep my money in the bank, what's the returns I'm getting per year? It's going to be around 2.5 to 3.2%.
Well,
Max?
Not exactly. Depends. So 2.5. I don't know. For this type of return,
Just if I keep it in the bank, not investing in any product of the bank.
okay. Even now with interest rate environment, to get to 2.5%, I think one should be quite silly to just accept that. Because even on the fixed deposits, you get 4-5%, an annualized return with the current interest rate environment.
But fixed deposit returns means that I have to keep that money dormant.
Not necessarily. Dormant means for the term defined.
For the
Correct?
term defined.
There are also certain products that allow you to stay liquid, maybe balance-based returns, interest rate which is paid on the current account balance. But having said that, I want to come back to addressing the question. When the wealth manager is just a banker, maybe there would be constraints and they would not advocate for real estate much, especially when that bank doesn't have a mortgage facility which can finance the real estate. Let's say a lot of international banks that do not have a mortgage arm here in the UAE because of their license restrictions, they definitely will say no. Moreover, they will advise to sell real estate, whatever they have, so the money can come to the bank. But if the wealth manager is somebody that looks after the assets of the clients globally, not just the bank, but there are companies or like individuals that look after the wealth as a whole, they will definitely say that real estate is an important aspect of asset allocation, asset diversification. And in my personal humble opinion, it's a must asset to have in your portfolio. It doesn't have to be overweight in your portfolio. So you shouldn't have 100% of your wealth invested in real estate because of a simple reason. It's illiquid. In comparison to other probably asset classes. And in case of you requiring, urgent liquidity, it's very difficult to, dilute that portfolio. But it's an essential part of any asset allocation and any portfolio. And it has to be in your portfolio for sure. At least, we can talk about asset allocation later, but it's a must.
What on an average, what percentage of your asset should be diverted to, or of your portfolio should be based on real estate?
The minimum that one should have is 20%. I think this is the minimum that
you should have. If you're developing a portfolio, 20% of that has to be real estate. 20% is very good to start with, but it should go up to, you have to have a framework of taking it to around 62 to 63%.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the...
and I will always be at loggerheads on this. We would never see eye to eye. I understand that point.
It's actually not exactly true because It all depends on the plan of that particular individual, right? If he wants to be into real estate in general, and if this is their main business, then they by default are overweight on that, right?
That goes up to 90. I've seen it going to around 90% and the 10% liquidity factor they maintain from other ways. But if you are very heavyweight on real estate, and real estate is not just it gives you that passive side of the income as well, which is actually contributing towards your liquid side of the assets. That liquidity that you were talking about, that liquidity comes from the rental that you get from the real estate portfolio. In addition, when you buy and sell, that cherry on top, that in Dubai real estate, if you are investing very, very cognizantly and you invest very wisely, then there are opportunities where you get a decent amount of capital gain, a very, very significant amount, I would say, if I'm not blowing that horn too much. You'll get a very significant amount of capital gain. That capital gain for that period of time may or may not come. I'm not saying it will never. I'm saying may or may not come from other sources of investments.
Which I tend to agree, especially if you bought some type of property or invested in the project.
Which is unique to a certain degree.
Unique, or you've done it right after Corona times. Because I've seen 200% returns on real estate assets, which are now less, and it's more towards, I think, more humble returns than 200%. But I can say that probably maybe Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency asset which is super volatile, gave this type of return, or maybe big seven stocks of S&P 500. But yes,
the big seven stocks went really up.
I agree.
So you started this career in wealth creation and wealth management. If you look back at that time, what is the one aspect you would say, oh, I wish I knew this at the time when I was starting this, and I know that now, and you would like to share it with the next generation of wealth managers?
So you're talking about from the professional point of view, or?
No. So for example, the amount of hard work, for example, if I take my example, so I say, oh, I had to put long hours. I had to get up every day and do the same thing over and over. I have to be constantly on my phone. I have to make myself available for my clients 24/7. I wish I knew this before I entered this field. And this is one advice I would like to give to Mike: be available to your client base because they're investing in you, right? Something of that sort.
There are many things, but I would probably highlight a couple. The most important is to be available for the clients, and it's not just availability, but to be
mentally available,
emotionally available, physically available. If you're in the business of wealth management, it's important to be available on a call, at least call away, they say. Because the clients that we deal with are very demanding. They're very spoiled in a way by service level that they expect. And that's what probably I would give an advice, that despite the fact a lot of people have issues with answering calls after working hours, and I only work 9 to 5, and some people or bankers, they have it in their under signature line that says, please call me within this hours. I'm not available.
Are you serious about it?
Yes. I've seen that in a couple of emails, not in the organization I work for, but
you've seen that in the industry.
In the industry, I've seen that in the industry, and I want to say that unless you reach the level that you're happy and satisfied. I saw the joke as a remark over here is, we need to work till Dubai becomes cheap for us, right? that should be the, the aspiration. So unless you're happy, I think one should work harder
I'm gonna
than
note
they
that, make a mental note of that point you made.
that they harder than they plan for a day. This is one thing. Second, as a wealth manager, one should know what investing is. You cannot give advice if you are not investing yourself. Theoretical knowledge is not going to help. So a lot of people, a lot of bankers, a lot of wealth managers, they give you so-called advice. They so-called give you guidance, theoretical, based on the theoretical knowledge, but they have never invested themselves. So please try experiencing that. Go through. I'm not saying one should go through margin call experience, but
Have some bits and pieces of that
course.
flowing towards you.
That's essential. That's essential.
I think being available, Dubai also offers all the people that are living here an unprecedented level of service quality. The level of service delivery that I see in Dubai, I haven't seen it across the globe. And I've traveled to a few places. But Dubai has some unparalleled level of service quality. And once you come to expect that, once you demand that, then it's very, very difficult to go back to a lower level of service quality, right?
I agree with you. That's why we all like to live here.
Exactly.
And thanks for the,
endorsing that.
Yeah,
No, like you, it's the same thing. You have to be available for your clients. And at times they are going through something in their life. You should have to be aware of it, because whatever they're going to ask you to do has a certain background element associated with it. And as far as the quote that you just made, which I'm going to make a mental note of, that work till that time that Dubai becomes cheap for you. People always ask me, and my friends always come to me, ask them, can I afford that? Should I buy that? Should I buy this? Be it watches, cars, property. I said, listen, if you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it. So my thumb rule is, if I cannot buy it twice, I can't afford it. I don't know whether that's right or wrong, but that's the dynamics that I've come up with.
That's an interesting point as well. I never thought about it, but yeah, it probably works well. I have a question to you as a real estate expert. If a person wants to, like, the person rents a property, let's say everybody comes to Dubai that are working in Dubai, they end up renting a property, right? So a lot of them are in the stage in their beginning, at the beginning of life in Dubai, where they think, okay, it's temporary, and we're just renting for few months, and we never know what's going to happen later, and etc. etc. No one thinks about buying a property at the stage where they just come to Dubai. I'm not talking about the people that are coming to Dubai with the purpose of investments only, but working class. So what advice would you give to those individuals that are spending so much money on rentals throughout the years, staying in Dubai for 5-10 years, paying ample amount of money and paying somebody else's mortgages? What advice would you give them?
That's a very interesting question. And I actually, if I remember correctly, and my team would agree with me, that we address that there's a set pattern of percentages, a rule that this amount of percentage has of whatever you're earning has to go on this bucket, and then this amount has to go on this bucket, and this amount goes on this bucket. And unless you have a clarity of the same, you would not go into something of creating actually a property and buying and investing into a property. Then there is a separate group of people. So basically, when you come to Dubai, you come with two concepts. Either you're going to invest in a startup or start a company, an organization, a business, whatever that may be. If you're coming to Dubai with that mindset, then the major chunk of your savings or whatever you have goes in the company, goes into creating that brand, creating that business, and making sure that it's self sufficient and it's self generating in a shortest period of time. So majority of the savings or the amount that you earn goes there back into the business. So at that time, if you're still living on lease or rent, in my humble opinion, that's perfectly fine, because majority of the amount that you make goes back into the business, and it's very important that at that particular time it should go back into the business to take it from one notch higher and always one notch higher and always one notch higher. That's the way it should be to start with. Now, if you come back towards the second aspect, that yes, I've started working here, what stage of life you are in, and what is the family dynamics. Are you married, are you living alone? So buying a property at times, and at times if you are well settled, then buying a property is more of an aspirational decision for you than an actually functional decision. So there are different aspects to that. It's not a very cookie cutter answer for everybody. I I would also come back and I can always say, yeah, the moment you are here, the moment you get this, buy a property and do. I do not want to lead the young generation into a false pretext that, oh, you just have to invest 1% and then that goes through and you'll be paying. You have to start creating your portfolio as early as possible. But my emphasis would be, sit with people have done it, who are doing it, who are in the business, who would understand your dynamics. There are segments, and there have been factors when people have come to me. Okay, I have 400,000 dirhams as my total savings, and I saw this ad. It's just for 1% property value. You can go and invest. At times, what has happened when they have gone there, they've invested. It's not just 1%. The down payment in Dubai, in majority of the cases, is either 10 plus 4 or 20 plus 4. So imagine you have to invest 24% of the property price at the down payment, and your 1% installments start from after that. So majority of the major chunk of your savings go into the down payment. And then you have that stress that, yes, I had this for a rainy day. Now that saving for my rainy day has gone. So I would advise people, when you go to a professional, that real estate professional to a certain degree is like your doctor or your lawyer. You have to share your complete financial liquidity and situation with that person. And that person is then responsible to guide you in the best possible way to move forward. He or she cannot just sell you a property. That's not what a consultant does. I consider myself not in a business of just selling and buying and selling and leasing properties. It's guiding people. It's making sure that in the shortest possible period of time, the investments mature and that generates more wealth for them. If they are looking to buy a home where they're going to make memories, which is going to be their home for the next considerable period of 20 years, they get a home which is best suited for their needs in the best possible price, and they're happy to create memories there. That should be a point of happiness and pride for them, not a cause of concern and sleepless nights for them.
Okay. Do you have any other questions? I have one more question.
I have 20 questions for you.
So, with the world moving into the soft assets concept, how do you see real estate progressing? There are lots of people that think that it's not, good to own property. It's better to rent property. I saw many millennials that think that way, and they just on the move all the time. How do you address that? What do you think is happening, and what are those trends? Do you think it's sustainable, or eventually it will, come back to the tangible part of the real estate as an asset?
You've put me on a spot once again, and by asking a very, very pertinent and intelligent question, I would say.
I'm glad if that's happened, because that doesn't really happen often, I guess, with you.
No, but I'll quote you an example from a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay.
Which says, buy to lease, rent to live.
Okay.
One. Second aspect. It's always better to, you said it's always better, millennials think it's always better to not own a property and just rent a property, right? And then keep on leasing that for a substantial period of time. The property that you're going to lease is actually owned by somebody. So somebody actually took the first step by owning that property. And we did with my team an exercise a couple of months back. And we posted an ad about it as well, that if you are living in a lease property for more than 10 years, thank you very much. You gifted your landlord a new property. So, but there are varying factors. Like it's not, as I said, it's not a cookie cutter answer for everybody. And I'm not on the bandwagon of buy property, everybody goes there. If you are jumping from city to city, if you do not have a home base, that for a millennial for this period of time is going to be a very good thing. I would not like to buy anything because half of the time I'm in New York and I'm Vancouver and I'm shuttling from here to Delhi or going to any other places in the world. Perfectly fine. What will happen when you put down roots? Are you going to, if you're married and have two lovely kids, are you going to every 3 months uproot those kids and take them globally around? No. You would have to enroll them in a school. They would have friends. So when you put down roots, those roots cannot be uprooted every 6 months. They have to be there for a considerable period of time. So you again are going to live, or your family will have a home base. Now, consider Dubai. Last year it was said that more than 532 billionaires have decided to make Dubai their home. Not just to, they will come here, visit, go back, but no, they have decided to make Dubai their home. Let it sink in. What do they understand about Dubai? What do they understand about putting down roots, which the millennials of this generation might not? So from that perspective, I think, yes, at certain point in time, you have to put down roots and you have to invest in real estate where you're going to make not only profits, but make it as a home. At one point in time, if you're going to do it, then think, decide what is the best time frame and go ahead and do it.
Thank you for the extensive answer. So
did anybody give you this answer before?
No, actually, I haven't asked that question before, but it was very interesting to hear from professional because the world is talking about soft assets. and everything moving into the digital space, and people are buying real estate on the moon, as you know. You would have heard those interesting investment opportunities.
Yeah, Moon is a great place to be. Unfortunately, for the time being, my area of expertise is only limited to Dubai. So that's me living under a cave, as you might think. But uh, my area of expertise is still Dubai. And I'm sure there's a lot of viable investment opportunities on the moon. For me, contemplating them at this point in time, with my meager understanding, might not be the best possible thing.
I have a question to you as an expert as well. Uh, there is a lot of cases. There are a lot of cases where people make money on the property flipping. Yeah, there is a term as a property flipping.
There is
A term.
property flipping. Never heard of it. So ask me, tell me.
Okay. If one wants to explore that opportunity, what would be your advice? How would one start that journey of property investments with the purpose of capital gains or property flipping? Not just a rental income, but, you know.
Again, very, very hard hitting direct question. Uh, I'm not, I think property flipping is a very crude term to start with. Majority of the people that have actually made money in real estate have made it not through rental yield, but through capital gain. So the element of capital gain is predominantly present in the realm of real estate. So that element is always there. I asked people when they invest in property, what again is the goal in 5 years or 10 years? Where do you want to position this? What amount? Every property that you purchase will have an element of, if it's an investment property, an element of rental yield and an element of capital gain. What is the weightage allocation for both those things? First of all, if you want maximum capital gain, then I can make a case that you should invest in project at the pre-launch state, because that's where you'll get the base value.
Sorry to interrupt you. What is pre-launch? I never heard about it. I've heard about the launch, and I know that people queue up on the, in the launch of the project with checks ready, and they end up not getting the allocation as well. But what is pre-launch? I haven't heard that term before.
Okay, let me answer first of all your first question, and then come to this pre-launch state. So we're discussing capital gain and rental yield. So capital gain element is always there. Now, in what time frame are you expecting that capital gain, and what amount of capital gain? But for example, I'll give you an example. You invest in a place called, for example, International City. Now, International City will have better rental yields, but a lower percentage of capital gain. The community has been formed. It is there. Nothing too fancy is coming to that community right now. It's pretty much done. So honestly speaking, you will get very good rental yields, but very slow capital gain. The capital gain percentage will be very insignificant. That's my take, and I have the data and the records to back that up. The second example I can give you, a community called Madina Jumeirah Living by Miras. Now that's very small piece of land located right in front of Burj Al Arab. You have non-freehold on the right, you have non-freehold on the left. In front, you have all those magnificent hotels and leisure facilities. And you have direct access of, I think, within 5 minutes, you will be on Sheikh Zayed Road. But that's a very small piece of land. Anybody who is investing there, I've seen the capital growth of that. It's phenomenal. It's a self-contained, smaller place which does not have like millions of square feet of land. So you will have a significantly higher amount of capital gain in a short period of time. Consider now a community which is coming on Dubai Land Road, massive piece of land. Emaar is building there. On the flip side, you can see DMAC is coming up with DMAC 2. It has come, that community is now forming. But since it's a mega project, your capital gain is going to be there, and it's going to be substantially there, but it's going to take a significant longer time. Because when you are going to, as an investor, what's your first competition with? Who are you competing with? With the developer. So when the developer stocks is depleted, then your property value is going to go much higher. The first thing is invest in a master community. We have talked about micro cities at one point in time. A micro city is a self-contained city. So if your property is ready, then the sub-community is ready, then the master community is ready, then your property prices go up in 3 dimensions and 3 stages, and you'll get a substantial amount of gain. Take the example of Sobha. Now, Sobha, Heartland 1 is near completion. It will be completed, I think, by the end of next year, maximum. After that, whatever inventory is there is going to come into secondary market. There's been nothing else which is being offered by the developer on a payment plan. So then the people who have bought properties there, they call the shots. They would have better control on the prices that they want. And if it was, for example, 1 million acres of land, then what will happen? Then the new project will be coming. Then a new project will be coming within that master community. So then you should be ready for that period of time to have that maximum length of capital gain. So depending on how much money you're pouring in right now, what's your plan for the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? There are multiple projects that people can invest in. And that takes care of your first part of the question. I hope I've explained it adequately. Coming back to pre-launch, premier clients, premier real estate professionals get the knowledge of an upcoming project. And if they are interested, or if the clients are interested in purchasing that, that's a market intelligence we get. And you do not reach out to your clients when that project is already launched. You reach out to your clients much before that this is a new project which is coming at this place. This is going to be approximately the dynamics of the project. So it's going to be townhouses, it's going to be villas, it's going to have something like a lagoon, it's going to have a golf course, this. And we should get a unit of this make and type there. Then you start communicating with your clients. So before the project is launched, you've already prepped your client. They already know. The moment the developer comes, okay, this project is going to come out, your expression of interest and your checks are already ready. Because if you're going to wait for the project to be launched, and then you're going to reach to your client, and then he's going to go back and forth and discussing it with you, and then you have the expression of interest and the check, then you may not get the best possible unit and the unit your client wants, because that has already been taken up by someone who did their homework much earlier than what you did.
That's great. And I think this goes hand in hand with wealth creation and this property flipping and capital gain strategy.
You focused on property flipping, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I am because this is one of the strategies and instruments that can create wealth and help you in creation of the wealth, right? Of wealth. So that's the reason I asked you that question, because this is a short-term, high potential wealth creation tool,
Yes.
which is sometimes unavailable for people because of their lack of knowledge. That's
I
the
would say,
reason it's important to hear from somebody that knows
I would
the.
say lack of knowledge. I would say speculation. Their own set of beliefs that, I'm not going to invest in this because my aunt's father's brother's cousin did this in 2008 and they lost massively. And when I reach out to them and I say, okay, but who guided them? Oh, my aunt is very knowledgeable, she guided them. Okay, perfectly fine. Get hold of your aunt and hold her accountable. Don't that trauma should not be transmitted to me.
So basically, limiting beliefs of
Limiting
people.
belief and procrastinating after for a longer period of time. People take ages at times to decide, and by the time they decide, um, investments are also time bound. Time plays a very significant factor in your decision making process. If you take too long to decide, then you've already missed the bus.
The opportunity cost is higher.
The opportunity cost, very rightly pointed out.
I
So you
agree.
and I are on the same wavelength as far as these dynamics are concerned. It's actually very refreshing to sit across a wealth person who does wealth creation and wealth management and who has an open vision to those things and who has the knowledge base to back it up. That was a compliment for you.
I was just thinking. I thought you will continue.
You want me to sing more
finished?
praises for you?
Thank you very much. It's also refreshing for me.
Okay, given the dynamics of Dubai and the way things progress here, right? Can I ask you something on that? So, my question would be, given the unique economic landscape of Dubai, which are some of the tips that you would like to share with your client base based on this platform? That this is the one of the most important tips for wealth creation and wealth management,
Why Dubai dynamics?
because Dubai is very dynamic. It's not like Singapore has its own dynamic, the laws.
I think one of the things that one of the tips that I would probably share or advise is when you come to Dubai to make money, to earn, it's important to have understanding of your personal finances and to control your spending as well. Dubai provides a lot of opportunities for making money, but it provides you a lot of opportunities to spend that money as well. So a lot of people that end up in Dubai for living, for working, for short-term contracts, they make money and they spend all this money in Dubai.
How's that? I have zero clue in that. Could you please elaborate on that?
So I would my tip to share would be think of saving the money, whatever you can. I'm not saying you need to live a humble life and not to enjoy, but think of future, think of tomorrow. If you can, try to save, allocate a certain amount of money for the rainy day. After you've done that, plan your budget and goals for the next few years. Buy real estate if you can. If you can't, then save and allocate required amount for you to be able to buy, because real estate market in Dubai is growing, and it's always very attractive. It attracts all the different types of investors into the market. So I think the most important thing over here is to have a clear vision of what's your goal and what you would like to achieve while you live here in Dubai, if you're on the short term, and move towards your goals very, in a calculated way. Because a lot of people that I know, they came to Dubai, and then they they had good income, they had good perks from the company, and when they went back, they just went back at the same stage. They didn't acquire no asset, they paid rent, they had flashy cars, they enjoyed the restaurants, dining experiences. I'm not saying it's one should not do that, but in moderation. They end up in a lot of debts on their credit cards, and then it's just a vicious circle, I would say. The lifestyle that you get used to over here is so addictive that when you're used to it, it's very difficult to, humble up.
Since I
or humble
lead
down.
since I lead a very, very simple life, I wouldn't know how to comment on that, and I wouldn't be actually the right person to respond to that. So,
Is this going to be in the video?
yes, this is going to be the video. For sure, it's going to be. I'll make sure it doesn't cut out. When you talk about savings and when you talk about this, so generally, I'm sure you must have read, because you're very well read. 50% is going to your essential spending, your housing, your grocery and everything. And 20% goes for debt reduction and saving, and 30% you should keep for your non-essential and wants. So you want to go out, you want to do this and this and this. So that is defined by dividing your 100% income base into 3 different buckets. So at times, what happens in Dubai, that your essentials are not covered within that 50%. Like the rents are going higher. So your ideal 50% should be able to take care of your housing, of your basic needs, and the child education. And if that, for example, it's just a thumb rule. It's not like it's not across the board, but 35% of your earnings should go towards your rental payments. Now, in Dubai, at times that is much higher than 35%. So your spillover of that actually attacks either that 20%, which is for your debt reduction and saving, or that 30% that you've kept for your non-essential things and your wants. So you have to either compromise on the two. What happens is that 20% that you have kept for debt reduction, that gets reduced. And at times the peer pressure is so much that you do not want to reduce that 30% of the non-essentials and the wining and dining, as you said, and buying that dream car that you always wanted. So it's basically a compromise. At times, if you're not able to meet that, contain your essentials within 50, it goes overboard. Now, those two elements, you as a family, I mean, anybody who's listening to that, I would say they as a family should sit and decide how much of the piece of that pie we should cut from that 20, and how much piece of the pie are we willing to sacrifice from that 30. That's very important.
I completely agree with you. And the rule, as you mentioned, is very flexible. It's not that you have to do or you have to allocate your income according to this
it's just a basic
ratio. I think it's very subjective to everybody's situation, because there are people with debts as well, which are very high, and their income is not significant to cover even 5% of non-essential. There are people that have.
But again, you did
Yeah.
not accumulate that debt overnight. You accumulated that debt because that 50, 20, 30
Was not met.
was not
Okay,
adhered to.
possibly, but still, I think it's very subjective.
I'm not passing a
rule.
judgment on that, but like,
But I look at this from a different perspective. A lot of people, or at times, people tend to focus on what they have and divide that 100% of their income, on those essential, articles of budget.
I
would
say it like
say-
essential, desirable, nice to have.
I would say focus on making more money. Focus on
I love that concept.
getting more income. If you understand that you have those wants that are not covered currently by your income, or you want to live in your dream house, and currently you cannot afford the monthly installment on the mortgage for that house, get a better job, get a higher income, have some kind of investments that will create wealth opportunities and wealth creation opportunities, for yourself and for the family. I remember at the beginning of my career, I had one of the senior colleagues that was sharing an experience. He was resigning from the job, and he was quite successful, very successful gentleman. And we asked him, why are you leaving? He said, I was passing by, he named the street, and I saw this apartment and those windows, French windows, and that beautiful view I imagined from that apartment. Then I just curiously asked how much, because there was the advertising that, it's on sale. And I realized that I cannot afford it, having this job.
And I will not be able to afford it in foreseeable future as well.
Correct. So ever since then, I started to seek for opportunities, which he eventually got. And that's why I'm resigning. Not because I don't like my job, because I don't like my team, or I'm not happy. I'm very happy, but I want more. Hence, that's my goal for the next, I don't know, 1 year, 2 years. And the job that I have found and accepted is going to help me to achieve that. So I think that should be the main driving factor for people to, those that want to have those wants.
I completely agree on the subject of like, you've just exactly hit a nerve there with me. I'm an ardent believer of whatever you're saying right now. And that has been my journey throughout. From very early age, I used to talk to my elders, and they would say, Asim, at times you need to be frugal and this, and this is the amount that you need to save. I said, perfectly fine. But why don't I try and increase my income? If I am spending X amount, I need to now have more money. I need to find areas in where I can expand and earn more money. So that has been one of the driving forces. And I would say, okay, at one point in time, I was in a very comfortable job, very high paying, very nice, good recognition. But that drive that you have, that what's next and what takes you to another step is what, and that drive needs to be consistent in order to take you from point A to point B, to point C to point D. It's a never ending journey. And if you have that drive, I think people will have more success in life. It's just a framework. So on that note, Yana, I would appreciate the effort that you took, giving us some very insightful knowledge. in the realm of wealth creation and wealth management. She corrected me a couple of times. Asim, don't only talk about wealth management, talk to me about wealth creation, because that's where it all starts. So thank you very much for coming here and sharing that insightful information. And I'm sure that a lot of clients would like to ask you much more questions. If you guys want to know more about this field, please feel free to reach out to us. We will make sure, if we have substantial amount of questions, we're going to bring her back. So that is all for today from BrickBuzz team. Thank you very much, and keep on watching this app.
My name is Yana, and it was a pleasure to be here with Asim talking about wealth creation and real estate topics. And I look forward to seeing you soon. If you have any questions, please comment below and we will try to address them.